Welcome to the Tech Today podcast. It's your host, John Maeda. So today we published an article entitled "The Nuclear AI Cloud, Nuclear Power Could Handle AI Energy Consumption Requirements." Given all the talk around AI and the need for exponentially more compute power and how that compute power would tax energy here in the United States, globally, frankly, but I just kind of focused on the U.S. And so we included this is from the Energy Information Administration, this table here, which just shows how energy was produced from what sources: coal, petroleum, natural gas, nuclear. Nuclear is the one that's the most cost effective, right? We don't have to dig it out of the ground and mine it. Once the reactors are built, you could be at steady state pretty quickly. The two most recent reactors, so we had the Vogtle reactors 3 and 4 come online. Number 3 reactor came online in 2023. 4 is either almost online or online. I'm not quite sure, but steady state reactors 3 and 4 produce just over 17 million megawatt hours per year. And for comparison, Google, I couldn't find 2023 data, but for calendar year 2022, Google itself consumed approximately 22 million megawatt hours globally. And so you would figure that that consumption number is going to increase pretty rapidly as they do more data center build-outs to support large language models and the like. They did quite a bit in the way of data center build-outs, call it 2014 through 2022. 2014, off the top of my head, I think their global consumption was about 13 million megawatt hours. So I could say they've almost doubled in the past decade. And so let's say we get to, the next 2 or 3 years, Google's at sort of a 30 million megawatt hour consumption run rate. And then you have Google, OpenAI, AWS, Azure, Oracle, smaller guys like Grok coming online. So with the big guys, let's say they're all at kind of 30. You've got 4 or 5 big guys, so let's call that 150 million megawatt hours. Let's say the smaller guy is going to round that number up to 200 million megawatt hours. Pretty quickly, you can see that there's going to be the need to ramp up production. I don't think it will be natural gas. I think the ramp is going to come from nuclear. And I think to sell it, I know if I was head of the energy department, as I kind of wrote here in the article, I would want the large consumers, those who consume the most energy, to pay for the build. And not only to pay for the build, but to pay for the management. So that would mean Google, Facebook, AWS, Azure, Oracle, all these guys get involved in terms of providing the capital for nuclear power plants. I think that's how it's going to play out. I think that's how ultimately we'll see privatization across the energy sector here in the United States. The private sector has to participate in a big way, and I would want the government to. The role would be a support role. So these companies would run point on negotiations in terms of construction, management, maintenance. All that stuff is going to be led by the private sector. Government's there to sort of audit and make sure that these things are being constructed in a way that meet safety regs and so forth. There would still have to be a public vote to get approval on these plants. But I want to push this to the private sector, given that the private sector, commercial private sector, is going to be the big consumer in this space. That's all for now. See you next time.